You can't see if anyone's viewing or anything like that?
Okay, no, actually, I just went on a different screen so that I can see where you are now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go. So we are now live. There we are. Okay, so I want to go back to the screen so that I can actually see if there's any comments. Maybe. Oh, technology is so fun.
It's the funnest.
Okay, well, we've got a couple of people watching. I just can't see comments. Oh, there, maybe now. Because we do have 2 people viewing.
Okay.
So if you are viewing, please just type something in the chat so that I can actually see who's on. And Sarah and I will be able to answer questions, maybe, if I can ever get to that right screen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try it on my phone. Oh, there we go. So there's so Miriam is on. I don't know who else is on. Hi, Miriam. So I'm just going to shut it down from my computer because apparently I'm not going to be able to see it from there. But I can see the comments on my phone. So we're good to go. So now I'm going to go back to the other screen so that I can see you. Okay, so welcome to Monday Whispers. And today is... today we're actually here on live with Sarah Garber, and so I am Roli Alaire, and my spirit name is Kikudu Migwin Kwe, and I am a holistic wellness coach, and so I work with women who have experienced trauma in their lives, and bringing Monday Whispers is being able to feature different women like Sarah, who are very inspiring and are able to bring forward their experience. So Sarah is a mom of 5, a breastfeeding mom of 5 actually, and she is going to talk to us about the importance of breastfeeding. And so that is, so I'm going to turn the floor over to Sarah. So Sarah, do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. Like you said, I have 5 children. I also have a bonus child, so I guess you could say 6. I love doing things with my kids, anything really, being outdoors, hands-on things, going to the park, whatever it may be. And as Rolly had mentioned, breastfeeding is huge to me. I've been breastfeeding probably for the last 6 years straight. I have nursed all 5 of my children, all for different lengths of time. I was a really young mom, so I wasn't very educated at first. So I only nursed my first daughter for about 6 weeks, and then my second daughter for 6 months. My 2 sons after that was 2.5 years each. And my 14-month-old son, we are 14 months and going.
So why is it important for you to breastfeed?
There's a lot of things. It's the bond is probably the most important thing to me. There's lots of perks. I mean, it's free. It's great for the environment. It's what's best for the baby. Should you be able to nurse? It's definitely recommended. I don't know. It's just what was right for me. I've been really lucky to be able to nurse my children. I know there's some others out there that aren't able to, and that's fine too. I told Rolly earlier, I said that is best. But if you are able to nurse, it's definitely something that you should consider for sure.
So now you're saying nursing. So what nurse, what does that mean?
Breastfeeding.
Okay. So that's just a different way for being able to say breastfeeding?
Yes.
Okay, so that's actually really cool. So, because sometimes people don't know what that means, so I just wanted to make sure that we knew what that was. So, so now, how do you feel that things are? Excuse me. So, there's a lot of controversy over nursing. So, so like, what about when you go to a restaurant or you go someplace and somebody says, well, why are you nursing here? Like, why are you not breastfeeding in the bathroom? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
It's very simple. If you would not eat in a washroom, you cannot expect any child of any age, infant or not, to eat in a bathroom. It is not sanitary. And if you wouldn't do it yourself, you shouldn't expect others to do it. Um, Now, a lot of people will say, well, at least you can cover up. That is something that a lot of people like to argue about. I have nursed or breastfed in public, and I've done it covered up and not covered up. Personally, for me, it's better not to. It took me a while to get comfortable with the idea of not having a cover in public, but my babies usually they get really hot and sweaty, and they were always tugging it off all the time, and it was just a constant fight just to be able to keep the cover on them. Then I just found that I had to get over the fact that people might not approve of seeing a bit of boob, but I mean, I have to, like, it's what's best for a baby, and what's best for a baby is for them to be comfortable while they're eating.
So, and also what's comfortable for mom, right? So like if you're comfortable and it, like you said, it took you a little bit of time to be able to do that. So, so for like, cause you probably covered up in public for your first one. I'm going to assume if you,
Yes, I did. I never nursed in public without a cover.
right. So like there's that part of it. And, so what do you do or how do you respond when you have somebody that makes a comment like you should cover up or like what are you doing or you should be nursing, like how do you respond?
I just, I mean, I'm not rude about it. I just explained to them that it's my baby, it's my body, it's my choice. Some people, now I've never experienced this myself and I've been lucky, but some people have been asked to leave public places, whether it be a shopping mall, a restaurant, a park, a movie theater. But what a lot of women don't know is that there are laws that cover us nursing mothers. We are legally protected by law to nurse wherever in public. So if there's ever a mom out there that's nursing and you feel as though you have to oblige by someone saying that you have to leave or you're not allowed to do that here, know that you are protected and you do not have to leave.
That's actually really cool. I didn't know that. Like, so all of the years that I've worked with moms who have nursed, I did not know that we were protected by law that
Yeah.
allows us to be able to nurse wherever. So I know that it's always encouraged and that's something that's like super important, but I did not know that. That's actually really cool. So for those of you who are not from our region, so Sarah's actually talking about, we're in Ontario, Canada. So depending on where you are, maybe that law doesn't apply, but we're in Ontario, Canada. So like, Sarah, do you know if that is,
I believe it's all of Canada. Now, the states, I'm not sure. Um, I would say probably not all of the states have that law, but probably the majority do. Wherever it is that you're located, it's pretty easy to search up and see.
just because we're close to the Quebec border, so I didn't know whether or not it was just Ontario or.
Right. I believe it's all of Canada.
That is actually really cool. So that's really fascinating that we've actually grown that much in terms of being able to do that. So that's fascinating. So Billy has joined us, and actually we have a few more people. So Jody has joined us. So hi Jody, hi Billy. I'm not sure who all is still here, but if you guys want to say hello, if you guys have any questions, or if you guys have any comments that you guys want to share. So we're talking about breastfeeding mums and the importance of breastfeeding. And Sarah, for those of you who just came on, Sarah just finished telling us that it is a law for sure in Ontario that you are allowed to breastfeed wherever wherever and whenever that you want without having to be covered. And so again, it has to do with your own comfort zone, right? So if that is something that you're comfortable with. So way back when I was nursing, my oldest one is now 23, so it's been a little bit of space between now and then. And so I would nurse wherever it is that I was, but I would be covering. So that was where I felt more comfortable. So hi, Maddie. And so so that made things a little bit more comfortable for me back then, but I would still nurse wherever it is that I was. And so and when I was at home, then I would obviously be nursing without a cover. And nursing was just so much easier. I didn't nurse as long as Sarah. So my first one, I nursed him for about 3 months, and then I had to go back to work. So which is the reason why I only nursed him for that long. And my second one, he nursed every hour and a half, 24/7. So that was, and I had a toddler. So like he literally nursed every hour and a half, 24 hours a day. And so I had gone into the doctor's office and I'm like, hey, there must be something wrong with my milk. Cause like he can't be hungry like that often. And so they checked his weight. They did all the things that they were supposed to do, the normal checks. And no, he was gaining exactly the way that he needs to. And so it was like, and the doctor had said, give him 6 weeks, at least give him 6 weeks. Cause I'm like, I'm exhausted. Like I can't handle anymore. And so and so the doctor asked me to try and give him at least 6 weeks. So I gave my youngest 6 weeks. Then I put him on formula. And so even on formula though, he nursed every 3 hours. And so probably, I think around 3 months old is when he finally started sleeping through the nights and not feeding through the nights. So like, I don't know that I would have been able to actually continue to nurse every hour and a half for that length of time. So, but 6 months or 6 weeks was like tops for me for my second one. So, and he still has that appetite where he needs to eat every few hours. And so that's just his metabolism. And, but it was just really interesting. So one of the other questions that I have is about like, how often do you nurse, or like, that kind of thing, because there's some controversy over that as well, like that you should be putting them on a schedule, that kind of, and then you hear like, well, no, they shouldn't be on a schedule, they should be just being nursed whenever on demand. So like, what are your thoughts? Like, what's your thoughts and your on that?
Well, my thoughts personally is it's whatever's best for your baby. I mean, we as mothers, we know what's best for our children. If you want to have them on a schedule, have them on a schedule. Me personally, I've always nursed on demand. I believe they'll let me know when they're hungry. I know at the hospital, they have you wake up your babies every few hours because they say like they need to eat, they need to gain. Sure, I always did that in hospital, but as soon as I went home, I let my baby sleep, and whenever they were hungry, I knew they would wake me up and let me know. As they get older, because I do nurse them until they're toddlers, 2.5 is my cutoff for me personally. That's my comfort thing. I don't personally want to nurse them past 2.5, although it is encouraged to go as long as you want. I mean, once they start getting table foods into their diet, they're not going to need as much breast milk. So there isn't a certain amount of times a day. I mean, obviously when they're newborn, eat, sleep, poop. So you're nursing a lot. But as of right now, with my 14-month-old, I would say that he probably nurses about 8 times a day. He does it for nutrition purposes, and he does it for comfort as well, like for sleep when he has his nap. And, you know, if he gets hurt or whatever, you know, you pop a boob and the world is good again. So it's pretty good. Breastfeeding is just a really great thing. Like, I really encourage it for everyone. And it's, and even if you can't nurse, like some women have aversions to it. They don't feel right about it. But there's also the option of pumping. And if you're not able to pump, there are Human milk donors. Most areas have a donation center. The moms and stuff are screened to make sure that, you know, they're not on any sort of medications or drugs or anything like that. And yeah, if there's a will, there's a way. I think it's really important to give the baby, you know, the best start for life. And to me personally, that means breast milk. It's catered towards them. It's got everything that they need. It's easy on their tummies. It protects them and their little immunities. Like my children, I could tell you right now, my 3 boys that I've nursed for the lengthier period of time as opposed to my girls, I see fewer ear infections, less colds, and the duration of the colds themselves, they aren't as long as what they would have been had I not been nursing. There's just so many great benefits. And if you can do it, there's no reason really not to.
So that's really good. And so like, I know that some of the clients that I work with have had, and this isn't for everyone that this has happened to, but there are some women that have had sexual trauma. And so breastfeeding for them has been something that they've been uncomfortable with, and that's okay. And so that is something that is super, super important for everybody to know, that even though we're talking about the importance of breastfeeding today, that if that isn't for you, then that's okay too. And because we don't want anybody to think, okay, well, we're talking about the importance of breastfeeding, so like there's no ifs, ands, or buts, because that's another piece that we actually hear of. So like, yeah, we talk about breastfeeding is best, but there are some circumstances that you can't. There are some reasons, like for me, there was no way that I could actually that I could pump. So I could nurse for as long as I was nursing, but I could not pump. And it didn't matter what kind of pump that I used. It didn't matter whether I did manual extraction. It didn't matter. And for me, it was like, if I can't nurse, then I can't feed my baby. So we did need to supplement with a formula, because we tried, like we had tried different ways, because I knew that I was going back to work early with my oldest. And so I wanted to make sure that I can continue with the breastfeeding as much as possible, but that wasn't possible for me. So, so that's something that's super important for people to be able to remember as well, is that there are, and I didn't know that, because I've only just recently seen about the breastfeeding moms, like the substitute moms, or whatever it is that you called it. And so like, I only just recently saw a post about that. I think it was actually when I was in the health unit. So it was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like that's kind of really interesting that there would be some moms that would actually be doing that kind of thing. So, and I just want to acknowledge that Betty, I'm not sure if they're still here, but Betty has hopped on, and Lori. So I just wanted to acknowledge you guys and say hi. If you guys have any questions, or if you guys have any comments or any experiences that you guys want to share then about breastfeeding, then please feel free to do that. So, so now you talked about the length of time that your cutoff is 2.5 years. So like, what kind of average do you know what kind of average and stuff that breastfeeding moms have usually?
This is going to sound completely insane, but the average age for weaning a child is between 6 and 8 years old. That's worldwide. That's third world countries, Canada, that's everywhere. To me, I mean, I personally never seen anyone nurse a child over the age of 3, but I can see that in like a third world country, you know, because of the nutritional value, and you know, them not having a lot of money to be able to feed themselves. I can see that being something that would be extended to that age, I guess. But no, I think in my own personal experience, I mean, the average age is probably between 6 and 12 months. I do have a couple of friends that have gone to about 2, but like I said, it's whatever you're comfortable with, right? Yeah. Mom knows best. And there are a lot of people that think that once a child or a baby hits the age 1, that there's no more nutritional value in it for them, that it's just the mom's being selfish. And personally, sometimes I feel attacked because I feel as though like they think that like I'm sick or it's disgusting, and it's really not. I mean, there's cow's milk, which is great. I mean, I drink cow's milk, but I mean, human milk is for human babies, you know? And I would much rather my child be drinking milk from myself than from a cow for as long as they can, anyways, right? So, yeah, no, a lot of people are just very uneducated about breastfeeding. So, you know, it's easy for people to say like, you know, you should be doing that for that long. And there's so many women that quit breastfeeding because they don't feel the support. It's very important for a breastfeeding mom to feel supported, you know, because there's a lot of people, and I see this in a lot of my mom groups that I'm on, that women are saying like, you know, I have to go to a family function or whatever. I have to go to town and stay with family. And I've been told that if I have to nurse my child, I have to go in a separate bedroom. And then they feel like they're missing out, right? They feel excluded. So a lot of them, when they don't feel supported, they end up quitting. And ultimately, it's the child that is suffering from it, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's really important for people to be educated and be able to be really supportive of those around them that do breastfeed, because it's not always easy. Like when you first start, it is hard. You know, I've gone through my bouts of mastitis and clogged milk ducts and cracked and bruised and bleeding nipples. I mean, you name it, I've been there and I've had to overcome it. And if I didn't have supportive people in my life, I probably would have quit. If I didn't have the encouragement behind me to tell me that I could do it, I probably would have stopped a long time ago.
Well, and I definitely commend you on being able to do that. So, because like I said, so 6 weeks for my second, that was like the extent of what it is that I was going to be able to do. As much as that was something that was like super important to me, and like with my oldest, because I wasn't able to nurse, and like because I wasn't able to extract my own milk, that I had to stop nursing for when I was actually getting ready to go back to work. So like that wasn't really an option for me. And so that those are things that are actually really important for moms to be able to remember, is that, and that if you are feeling like it's not important or something like that, that you need to be being able to reach out to other moms, right? So being able to reach out to other moms, and so having those support networks allows you to be able to help come up with some tips and some courage, right? So like when we're actually connected in a group, then it actually gives us that connection of being able to tap into resources with each other. And so so those are things that are like really, really important for us to be able to do, is that support. And if we don't have that support, like Sarah said, then it makes it so that moms don't want to, or they feel really bad. Like I have there's a young lady that I know that was one of the things that they actually had said, well, you're coming for Christmas, but like you're not nursing because like baby's too old and you shouldn't be nursing anymore. And so really would hide in the bedroom or be very limited. Baby was really cranky. They were trying to supplement baby with water or juice or whatever else so that they could and it was horrifying for her. And then so then baby's uncomfortable. It takes baby like 3 or 4 days to be able to get back to being where they need to be. And of course, at Christmas time, when you've got all this extra family that are coming down, like anxiety for adults is huge. Now you've got anxiety on kids who like don't know who all these people are who are like hugging and kissing you, and because like they love you because like you're family, and but you've got all this stuff that's going on for babies that are, and then take away breastfeeding too. Like that's really unfair for babies, and then unfair for moms who then have to deal with those that backlash on everything. So I just wanted to acknowledge Donna and Lori have popped on as well. So but just really, really important. So is there anything else that you think that that breastfeeding moms should know, Sarah, or do you think you've covered everything?
I think it pretty much covered everything. Just like I said, the best start for a child, if you can, is breastfeeding. But I didn't touch on The first few days before the milk comes in, a woman has colostrum, which is like a big boost of all the good stuff. You know, if you can't or don't want to breastfeed, at least try to give the baby the colostrum. It's really the best thing for them, and it's only the first 2 days before your milk comes in. So if you don't want to breastfeed after that, that's fine. Just if you can try, please try to give them some colostrum. It's really, really good for them. I think that's really important.
Yep. And one of the things that that made me think of that too is that one of the things that you had said is that like people will say like, well, there's no more nutrition for them, that kind of thing. One of the things that I know for sure is that when that as babies get older, like from the time that they're infants, as they go through the different stages, your body actually produces what it is that they need. So when they actually need the increased fat in the first 12 months, then baby's getting that increased fat because your body is producing that increased fat for them in the milk. And then as they get older and they need to have less and less of that fat, then your body actually adapts to that. And so that's something that is really, really important for people to know that as well, is that your body just creates it. That is the whole human experience, right? So like our bodies know exactly what it is that it needs to do, when and how. And so nursing is that part of it. And so same as when you use the analogy of a cow, right? So getting cow's milk is that if you're a dairy farmer, then you're making sure that you're taking all the milk that you're supposed to be getting on that cow on a regular basis, because if not, then you're not producing it. So like that's something that's like really, really important for us to be able to see. So it's actually really interesting how our body is able to do that. So Miriam actually just posted, and hi Annie just hopped on. So I couldn't do more than a few weeks on both of my kids. For me, it just didn't feel right. Too much stress and no support all around. So at least they got what they got. Absolutely, Miriam. So like,
Absolutely.
yeah, so like that really goes to what Sarah said, like even if you could only do like the little bit, but being able to, and that's one of the other things that is super important for moms to know, is being able to get relaxed. So if you're not relaxed, you're not going to be able to produce the milk, and you're not going to be able to have that letdown that allows the milk to be able to flow. So stress is a huge part of not being able to breastfeed. So
Absolutely. I also wanted to touch on one more thing. You were talking about how as a baby gets older, you know, less and less fat is created, but it's not even like breast milk literally will change hour to hour. If you're like on these hot days, how many times have I been told this summer, even though it's just started, why don't you give him a little bit of water? It's so hot. I'm going to tell you why, because my breast milk is producing all the water that he needs to keep him hydrated. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's like there's like a brain inside your breast, and the saliva basically speaks to your breast, and it will tell it, like if your baby is sick, it'll give it more antibodies. If your baby is having a growth spurt, it'll produce more fat. If it's hot out, it'll produce more water and less fat. Like it doesn't matter what is going on, your breast milk will cater to your child. You do not need to give a breastfed baby water or anything like that. They're getting everything that they need through your breast milk. And it's not just while the babies, it's while they are older children too. It never stops. Your breast milk is very, very amazing. It's something that no one's been able to recreate, although they've tried. Yeah, nothing will beat the breast milk for sure. And this is going to sound crazy too. Breast milk is not just for drinking. My kids have all gotten sunburns this summer, and I put breast milk on them. And I've also tried, like, you know, the tea bags and different lotions and aloe vera gel and all that. And breast milk by far is like the best thing for a sunburn, a scrape, a cut, anything like that. You put a little bit of breast milk on that, you're good to go. You're golden. It really is liquid gold. I mean it. Like my 6-year-old son, I have some frozen in the freezer, and he has some bug bites, and he said, "Can I use some of your milk for my bug bites?" Like it helps with everything. It really does. Like it's amazing. And then the breast milk popsicles that I make for my son, like everything, it's just incredible. It really is.
Well,
But not to say that formula isn't good. Formula is great also for those of you that cannot breastfeed. I don't want you guys to feel like any less of a mom, because I do have some friends that weren't able to nurse, and they say like, I wish I could have. I see you. I wish. You do what you can, and as long as your baby is fed and loved and cared for, that's really all we can ask for, right?
yeah.
So don't be hard on yourselves.
So that's awesome. That's an awesome way to be able to end. So thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you very much for being able to take this. And so, as I shared with you before we actually hopped on, the reason why I had actually asked you to be able to talk about this is because there was a huge discussion that was going on about breastfeeding and how it was just not good to be breastfeeding for such a long time. And so I just really wanted to be able to create that awareness and bring that forward. And I know that you are a huge, strong advocate of being able to nurse babies. And so I just thought that you were, in my circle of people that I knew, that you were probably one of the best people to be able to hop on. And so I am thankful that you have joined us today and shared your knowledge. And I learned a lot. So that is amazing. So thank you very much for being able to do that.
Well, thank you for having me.
Okay, so if you guys have any questions, Sarah and I will both be able to come back onto the feed. So if you're watching this on the replay, then just tag Sarah, and she will definitely be able to answer some of the questions as well. And if you thought that this video was helpful, then please share it so that other breastfeeding moms can have learned, or some potential breastfeeding moms, so some new moms can hear some of the tidbits that Sarah was able to share. So thank you again, Sarah. That was wonderful. So
Thank you.
okay, bye for now, guys.
Bye.